Who protects the plants and animals of the Central Coast and Channel Islands? The Central Coast is a special place with a unique natural environment and islands that give a home to many plant and animal species found nowhere else in the world. But our region is a fragile place. The native habitat that our plants and animals rely on is disappearing as development expands and what's left is being taken over by invasive plants that have been introduced from other places all across the world. The introduction of just one invasive plant can have a devastating effect on our native habitat. Plants like black mustard can outgrow our native plants and dominate acres of land, displacing and fragmenting native habitat. Nowhere else is this more true than on the Channel Islands, whose ecosystems had been undisturbed for millennia. 18 years ago, with many plant and animal species like the Channel Islands fox threatened or endangered, and the habitat they rely on disappearing, Channel Islands Restoration stepped up to help reverse the damage. We've worked to do this through habitat restoration, the act of removing invasive plants and recreating an ecosystem that our native plant and animal species rely on for survival. Over the years, we have worked with agencies like the National Park Service, the Nature Conservancy, the Navy, and many more, but we have always relied on our community for support. Restoration work is time and labor intensive, so we turn to volunteers to exchange time and hard work for a unique chance to experience the Channel Islands and make a positive impact. This also created a perfect opportunity to expose kids to nature in a meaningful way. Channel Islands Restoration has created a program to bring kids from underserved schools out to these islands. Most of these kids had never had the chance to visit a national park or even take a ride on a boat. What started as a small group working on Santa Cruz Island quickly grew to be a powerful force for habitat restoration. To date, we have worked on all 8 Channel Islands and at more than 50 locations on the mainland. Our work spans from Santa Maria to San Pedro and from the backcountry of the Los Padres National Forest to the cliffs of San Clemente Island. We have worked to restore habitat in all manner of ecosystems like grasslands, creeks, estuaries, salt marshes, sand dunes, and so much more. We have built 3 native plant nurseries and have grown and planted more than 60,000 native plants. We have created more than 10,000 opportunities to volunteer and have brought more than 3,400 kids out to the islands for service learning trips. Acapa Island provides critically important habitat for seabirds, pinnipeds, and plants and animals found nowhere else in the world. At one point, ice plant covered most of the eastern island. It smothered native plants and provided very little shelter for nesting birds. Since 2007, Channel Islands Restoration has been working with the National Park Service and other agencies to remove ice plant and restore the native habitat. Over the years, Channel Islands Restoration has created more than 3,000 opportunities for our community to volunteer on Acapa Island, including K-12 students as well as volunteers from companies like REI, Patagonia, Citrix, and more. With support from our volunteers, we removed ice plant by the acre and replaced it with native plants. We grew and planted more than 10,000 native plants in the bare areas where ice plant had once grown. Because of our track record of success, the Navy hired CIR to help restore habitat on San Nicolas Island. San Nicolas Island has a long history of land use that has left parts of the island barren and forced species like the island night lizard and San Nicolas Island fox onto the endangered species list. We have provided hundreds of opportunities for volunteers to visit and work on this island that is normally closed to the public. With their help, we have grown more than 40,000 native plants on our on-island nursery and have planted them strategically throughout the island. Already, these sites have provided critical habitat to the species that need it most. We are currently working with the U.S. Forest Service to eradicate tamarisk from the Sisquoc River watershed before the plant has a chance to entrench itself in the pristine backcountry wilderness. The Sisquoc River watershed takes up a majority of the San Rafael Wilderness, a congressionally designated wilderness in the Los Padres National Forest. The river provides critical habitat for species of concern like steelhead trout, California red-legged frogs, and arroyo toads, and it is the headwaters of the Santa Maria River. In order to eradicate tamarisk before it has the chance to fully take over the watershed, we have hiked more than 60 miles of the San Rafael Wilderness to find and eradicate tamarisk. Last year, we treated more than 700 adult trees and pulled more than 90,000 seedlings, which put a huge dent in the population, but there is still much more work to be done. The County of Santa Barbara relies on CIR to restore habitat at the San Marcos Foothills Preserve, a 200-acre open space of rolling grasslands, oak woodlands, and creeks. For many animals, the San Marcos Foothills Preserve is an oasis surrounded by a vast desert of development. Most of the grasslands of the San Marcos Foothills are dominated by invasive plants. To say nothing of the ecological impacts these have, these plants dry out each summer and create a severe fire hazard for the surrounding community. In restoring habitat, Channel Island's restoration has been clearing out these invasive plants and replacing the areas with native plants that remain green year-round and are much more resistant to fire, while also providing habitat for a large diversity of birds and other animals. On Santa Rosa Island, we are working to restore the cloud forest. The island oaks of Santa Rosa are adapted to catch the abundant fog as it rolls over the mountain peaks. At one time, these mighty oaks covered the peaks of Santa Rosa, but today the cloud forests are little more than a few scattered oaks rooted straight into bedrock. CIR is working with the National Park Service to restore the cloud forest to its former glory. To address the erosion, we have installed wattles to help keep some critical soil in place. Above the wattles, we have been planting rows of hardy shrubs that will be able to survive in harsh conditions without protection from the island oaks. To water these plants, we have installed efficient drip irrigation to deliver water to each individual plant. But we have also taken a lesson from nature and installed netting to catch fog and supply the plants with enough water to survive even without irrigation. With the help of hundreds of volunteers, the Santa Rosa Island Cloud Forest is now on a trajectory towards recovery. In the past 18 years, Channel Island's restoration has become a trusted agency for habitat restoration all throughout the Central Coast, and we are busier than ever. Our success removing tamarisk from the Sisquoc River has enabled us to expand the scope of our efforts. This year, we received funding to remove tamarisk from the watershed above Lake Piru, the Santa Ynez River above Jameson Lake, and to continue our efforts along the Sisquoc River. We are restoring a fourth native plant nursery on the Greenwell Preserve in Summerlin to provide native plants for restoration sites like the Hammonds Meadow Preserve and the San Marcos Foothills Preserve. We have all of these projects and so many more starting in the near future. We may be busier than we have ever been, but with grants from governmental and private agencies drying up, we are increasingly relying on donations from our community to support our work. So please, if you believe that the native plants and animals of our Central Coast and the Channel Islands are worth protecting, if you believe that exposing the next generation to the environment is important, then please donate today to sustain our work.